Hello again and welcome to the next chapter of our dot2 training videos. In this video we are going to look at programming fixtures with groups and presets, storing different types of playbacks, and using different store methods. We are going to assume that you have seen our first video, Getting Started Within Minutes, and that you have patched some fixtures into your console already. If not, go back and check it out now. I'll wait. A group is a quick way of selecting a number of fixtures at once. First, let's select some fixtures we want in our group and press the Group button on the right side of one of our screens. Now we press the Store key, followed by one of the empty group tiles. To give our group a name, we press the Label Object tab that appears as soon as we store the group. If we miss the tab, or wish to change the label later on, then we can press the Label Hard key and tap on our newly created group tile. This will bring up a window allowing us to type a name in. To use groups to select lights, we simply press the Group key on any screen to return to the group's page, and then select the group we want to work with. We are now going to learn how to create presets. A preset is a simple memory that stores information like colors, gobos, or positions, allowing us to create palettes of these features to make programming faster and easier. Let's select one group of fixtures and turn their dimmer on to full. Then let's switch to the color screen and pick a color. Now we can press the Presets button on the second screen to call up a screen full of empty color presets. Finally, we press the Store key and one of the empty tiles to store our color. As you can see, the console automatically names the color for us. Should we wish to change the name again, we press the Label key and select our color to open the label screen. Next, we are going to store a position. On the right screen, we press the Position button and use the encoders to move our fixtures to a new position. You will notice that when we change to position on this screen, the presets on the second screen also change to positions. To save this position as a preset, let's press the Store key and then a blank position preset on the second screen. Don't forget we can label our preset by pressing the Label Hard key and then tapping on the preset we just created. We can use this process to create a selection of colors, gobos, positions, dimmer levels, or any other attributes for our fixtures. We can also create presets that contain more than one attribute type. For example, let's say we want to create a preset with color, gobo, and have that gobo in focus. Once we have set this up, we are going to store this information into what we call an All preset. However, we need to remember that the All preset will store everything we have touched, including the dimmer. We can get an idea of what is going to be stored by looking at the red bars on the attribute buttons on the side of the screen. If we don't want to store a particular attribute, we can turn it off by simply selecting it and pressing the same attribute button again. Now we are ready to store our All preset with gobo, color, and focus information. Let's press the All key to open a new blank preset page. Now let's press the Store key and a blank preset in the All preset pool. We have now stored a preset with multiple attribute types in it. Now we can create looks on stage by selecting groups of lights, manually controlling attributes, and using presets to access data more quickly. In the first video, we covered storing cues into the main playback by pressing Store followed by Please. Now we're going to store our look into a different location. To store this look into a fader, we're going to press the Store key followed by a key directly below one of the playback faders. You will notice when we press the Store key, the view changed. The console automatically shows us the programmer view. This is a list of only the information we are going to store and nothing else. This is useful to keep an eye on what data we will be storing. Having stored our look onto a fader, we can push the fader up to make this cue live on stage. Now let's program some information onto a button. We'll select our fixtures again and put them into a new position. Then we press the Store key on one of the buttons above our faders. This will store the position onto that button as a single cue. Buttons default to a toggle, so we can press it to turn it on. As we have just saved our programmer, the fixtures are already in this position, so with the first press, nothing will happen. If we press it again, then the button will turn off, moving fixtures back to the position they were in before. Next, we're going to use the store look function. Up until now, the console will have only stored the active information we've had in our programmer. To see an example of this, let's clear the stage. An easy way to do this is to press the MA key, and while holding it down, press the off key. This will bring up the off menu on screen. Press the large Everything Off key to turn off every executor that is playing. Then we push the fader up on the playback we created earlier, which should bring that look back. Then press the button we stored our new position in. This should change the position of our lights. Lastly, let's take control of some of our fixtures and change their color manually. The store look function allows us to store everything that is on stage, whether it's in the programmer or coming from another playback. To use store look, we press the store key while holding down the MA key. Then choose a button below an unused fader. Once again, the dot2 will show us all the information we are going to store on screen before we complete the store process. Let's clear the stage again to see how this works. Press MA, off, and then everything off. Now, if we play back the fader we just stored our store look in, we should see a combination of the main look we started with, the position we added, and the color we modified at the end. The complete look has been stored. This function is very powerful. It's like taking a photograph of the stage and storing it. It even knows to store fixtures that are off as well. You now know how to store active information or store a complete look. And you can choose to store into the main playback, individual playback faders, or into individual buttons. To the left of our faders, or in the middle of the faders on an XL console, lie the page up and page down keys. Press the page up key, and we get a whole new page to store looks onto faders and buttons. The main playback section stays the same, regardless of which page we're on. If we're playing back anything, it will remain on its position, even when changing pages until it's turned off. This means, if we program a look on fader 1 on page 1, and a different look on fader 1 on page 2, we won't be able to play back both looks at the same time. If we want, we can change this and play back multiple faders across multiple pages at the same time. To do this, press the Setup key, and then select Global Settings. Turn off the option called Global Autofix. From now on, if we use fader 1 on page 1, we can go to page 2 and use fader 1 on that page as well, allowing us to play back many more executors at the same time. You can now store all sorts of cues and sequences and play them back. But let's say we're in a rush and we need to busk our show quickly. A tool that will really help us out here is the executor time control. Press the magic button, which will bring up the magic speed screen. This will give us 4 different speed controls, all used for controlling different elements of our show. For what we're doing now, let's use the third option, exec time. Set this to 5 seconds. Now let's try playing back our executors. You will see everything now happens with a 5-second fade time. While we're in the magic speed screen, let's look at the fourth control, the programmer time control. This is used to put a fader time on actions in the programmer as we control fixtures live. This is an amazing live busking tool. Let's try it out now. We'll put the program time fader to a time and then try jumping through different presets. We'll see the presets fade from one to another with the fade times we have set. Now, if we press Clear Clear, the fixtures will return to what we were playing back before, again with the fade time. We can also assign these controls to a real fader. Simply press Store, Time, and a button below a blank fader. The dot2 will ask us if we want to create an exec time or a programmer time. Alright, so this time we've covered grouping our lights together, creating presets, and storing looks into different faders and buttons, using different store methods. We've also learned about timing controls that will allow us to busk the console effectively. Look out for our next video, where we'll get into creating chases and using some simple effects. Also, feel free to try the software yourself. Just visit ma.2.com and download the free ma.2 on PC software. While you're there, pick up the absolutely free visualization companion software, ma.2 3D.